Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here with Gabriel Howearth, and today I want to ask him about diversity and what that means in terms of agriculture and gardening.
Diversity is the big buzzword topic for a while now, but it's very important. I mean, we have to realize that God's creation, we ended up with about 750,000 plants and species of plants. And nowadays, you're lucky if you go to a local store, you're lucky if you find 20
Why is that?
because because I don't, well, GMOs and all the issues there just reduce it down to hybrids. We're just losing it, and then the old heirlooms and traditional stuff. A lot of times, less of this, a few good people are really trying to preserve that, and that's what's going to be the future. But
Hmm.
there is a lot of diversity out there, and diversity also is. I mean, the more diversity you have in a garden, the more chance you have of having a great harvest. Because you may lose a few things, but you're going to get a bunch of other stuff.
So, how can everyday organic farmers implement the strategy of diversity into their farm?
Well, pretty simple. They only got it depends on the size of the farm, but any size, even a small windowsill garden can have diversity. I
Oh.
mean, on a farm, like for the average 40-acre farm, usually it's one crop and
Hmm.
one variety of that. Meanwhile, that same farm could have you could have thousands of varieties. I mean, look at the botanical garden that I started. We have 3,700 plant species on 12 acres, 11 acres. So let's look at how diversity can actually make it. And then because what survives all the diseases and the pests are the ones that you want to continue, and that's where you plant diversity. If you just plant one thing and it gets hit, you're gone. You lose it all.
So that's really interesting. Basically, what Gabriel's saying is that you want to plant a whole bunch of different varietals in the beginning, so that you can basically measure them and see which ones do the best. And from there, you can decide which ones you want to continue growing and which ones you think would be beneficial to have in your garden. Now, are there any other things you'd like to add about diversity that can help farmers or
Well,
people with their
it's
own
just to
gardens?
keep it interesting to entice to get more children and other people more involved. Look at something simple. Look at like case of one thing is the varieties that are actually exist. Like case in point, corn. Corn is 30,000 varieties of corn. What are we talking about? Corn, tomato, 3,000 kinds. I mean, peppers about 5,000 because of hot peppers too. Lettuce, you're talking lettuces. There's over 1,000 kinds of lettuces, over 1,000 kinds of cowpeas, string beans. There's at least 500. I mean, this goes from there. And then you go to like fruit trees. Okay, we're about right there. And then we get into food forest next. But like case of like apples, it's almost 80,000 varieties of apples out there. I mean, and mangoes is about 6,000, and bananas is about 6,000. So what are we talking about? We're talking about something interesting that tastes distinctly different, that can survive bugs, survive diseases better. That's what we want to be taking. I mean, look at it. We're just throwing away these seeds that people have been working on for thousands and thousands of years. We just throw them away in one generation. Wait a minute. Let's even take care of it. It's our responsibility to take care of these seeds from past and until the present into the future. This is the best jewels to pass on to our children.
Hmm.
Jewels don't count for much. You can't do much with it. We're
Sure.
just gonna have a legacy being passed on the seed,
Hmm.
which
Well,
is all connected.
Well, thank you very much for that. We'll get into more depth on that in the upcoming weeks. Now, we'd like to switch subjects to edible food forests. So, tell me, what is an edible food forest and who can that benefit?
Edible food forest, that's sort of a newer concept, but it's been around for a long, long time. It's just like you somebody nowadays are planting forests of edible fruits like say apples or pears or in the tropics of bananas, mangoes, that kind of stuff. Just so that you plant them in diversity, you make it so that people can eat. So ideally, like they're doing edible food forests in the city park of Seattle, 40-acre edible food forest. So that food can be for the homeless, for anyone that wants to harvest it or help it out, because it feeds us, but we need to feed it. So in a real smart like a permaculture kind of concept, which is really a concept is been around for it's used a lot now. Maybe overused, but really good thing. Is but what native people did for a long time ago was permaculture anyway. So what we're talking about though is just to put in enough. Look at nature's forest. There's always a legume or a bean family. It's always fixing nitrogen to feed the plants. You look at the desert, was there lots of mesquite, lots of acacia. They're feeding their nitrogen. That's the main ingredient. So whatever you do in a food forest, you just every so often you put in a legume to feed it, because they can be cut and pruned and feed the other plants. You got to feed the plants, so they can get big and come into rooting at an early age. That's real key. So I would say that and then if you got a windy site, just make sure you plant the trees that can take the wind on the opposite side, and maybe consider some clumping type of bamboos or some kind of thing the wind breaks to slow down the wind. Because in some places it's right there, right in the front. But a lot of trees don't like heavy winds. But they're easy to protect. In the sun they can take a lot of wind. No problem.
Wow. Very good. Thank you very much, Gabriel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click here to get Gabriel's Secrets of Gardening. Thank you very much and stay tuned.